And we are up to Test 7, Lesson 1. Swords ready, let's go. We have two objectives today. The first is to write checks, and the second is to solve problems by working backwards. So let's get started with writing some checks. This is what a check looks like. You've probably seen your parents use them. A check is basically a promise. When you write a check, you tell your bank, I promised to pay this person so much money, and please give them this money out of my bank account. People like to use them because it's safe and because it's an easier way than carrying money around. So looking at a check, up here it says your bank account. On a real check, this would have your bank information, probably your name and address. You could maybe ask your parents if you could have a look at one of their checks. The checks are numbered, and that's to help you keep track of them. So if you write check 1001, you can write down somewhere what you wrote so that you can make sure that you have the right amount of money in your bank. Pay to the order of blank. Here's where you're going to write the name of the person that you are giving this check to. So for example, let's say that I am paying for a book order. I would write pay to the order of Scholastic Canada. I'm just going to put Scholastic because it fits better. So the Scholastic book orders, if I'm writing a check to that company, I would write pay to the order of Scholastic. Now nobody except Scholastic can cash this check. So if you found this check, you couldn't take it to the bank and get money for it. Now next up I have this box. This is where I'm going to write down the amount of money that this check is for. So let's say this check is for $102.36. So I've written in the amount, $102.36. I put a dollar sign there and I didn't really need to because there's already one here, but that doesn't really matter. Next up there's a big space here and it says dollars. This is where you write the amount that your check is for in words. Okay, and part of the reason we do that is because some people have messy writing and it's kind of hard to tell. This is a good way to check. Now to start, we're going to write 102. We're not going to worry about the cents yet, and I don't need to write dollars because it's already there. I just have to write 102. Some people like to also put a line in front of and after so that nobody can add to it. So for example, if I wrote 102 and you found the check and I didn't have a line, you might add 1,000 in front of it. My dad always used to tell me to be careful to write that line. So $102, now I need to indicate the cents, and the way that we do that is we write the amount, which in this case is 36 cents, over 100. And in some checks, they'll actually have the little over 100 part written for you here. This one doesn't, so I'm going to have to write it in. So there we are. 36 out of 100, because that is the fraction, there's 100 cents in a dollar. 36 out of 100 shows how many cents. There's some numbers at the bottom here. You don't need to worry about those. Those are a serial number to help your bank. There's a memo. This part is optional, but helpful. What you do there is you write down what you wrote this check for. Now, if you wrote the check for something and you get the check, what happens when you write a check is that your bank will send the check back to you when it's done. And if you think, what the heck did I write a $102 check for? If you wrote memo, you can always look and see what you were thinking. So I'm going to write book orders. So again, you don't have to do that, but it's helpful. This part you do have to do, though. You have to sign your name, and you have to do it in handwriting, so that when they look at this check, they know that you're the one who wrote it. And there we have it. That's how you write a check. So to review the important parts, you write the name of the person you're paying, the amount, the dollar amount in words, the cent amount as a fraction, what you're writing the check for, and you sign your name. So here's another check, and what we want to do is have Melissa Jones pay $10,048.83 to Sylvester Stallone for acting services. So pause the video here and see if you can figure out how that check should look when it's finished. And there's what the finished check should look like. So just a quick review. Pay to the order of Sylvester Stallone. Here's the amount. Written in words, 10,048. I don't need to write dollars. It's already there. 83 out of 100 is the cents. Memo, it's for acting services, and it's signed by Melissa Jones. So now it's nice and legal, and Sylvester can take that to the bank and cash it. Our other objective today is to solve problems by working backwards. So working backwards is a strategy that makes use of the end result of a problem to find what it began with, and very often answers can be found by tracing back the steps and reversing the operations. So here's our first problem. Mia saved up some money for shopping. Her mother gave her $150 more. At a shop, Mia spent $80 on a bag and half of the remaining money on a pair of shoes. She was then left with $55. How much money did Mia save up? So following my problem-solving strategy, I'm going to start. I need to know how much money Mia saved up. Then some important information. Her mother gave her $150 more. She spent $80. She spent half the remaining money. She was left with $55. I don't really care what she spent her money on. So to solve this problem, I'm going to start by drawing myself a little map. I've got a box here, and that box is going to represent what Mia started with. I don't know what that is yet, but I do know what happened next was that her mother gave her $150 more, so I can write that in. So I've written in that it's going to be plus 150. I have no idea how much money I'll have because I don't know what plus 150, so I'm just going to put another box for now. Next up, she spent $80. So if she spent $80, that's going to be take away 80. And once again, I don't know what's going to go in that box because I don't know what I'm taking 80 away from. Next, she spent half of the remaining money. So to find half, I need to divide by 2. And hopefully you recognize that that slash is a symbol for division as well, so divided by 2. This time I do know how much she has. It says that after she spent half of the remaining money, she was left with $55. So to find out what goes in this first box, which is what I want to know, how much money did Mia save up, I'm going to reverse those operations. So you can see I've put in the opposite. So the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. Opposite of taking 80 away is adding 80. And the opposite of adding 150 is taking 150 away. So now I'm just going to find my 55 and reverse it. So 55 times 2 is 110. So I know that box should have been 110. Then continuing, 110 plus 80 gives me 190. So this box should be 190. And 190 take away 150 gives me 40. So I can go back and check my answer now. Mia saved $40. Her mother gave her 150 more, and she had 190. She spent $80 on her bag, which gave her 110. She spent half of that money left over, and that left her with 55. So her answer is that Mia saved $55. Actually, sorry, that's not right. Mia saved $40. But you can still see it by looking back. That was the correct answer. I just had the wrong sentence. So here's another problem. At a farm, 2 more than half the number of eggs were taken out of a basket. Later, 2 fewer than half the remaining eggs were taken out again. If 20 eggs were left in the basket, how many were there to begin with? Go ahead and pause the video here and give this problem a try, and when you come back, I'll have the answer for you. Here's how the equation looks when I write it out. So I start with an unknown number of eggs. I divide it by 2. That's going to give me an answer. And then I'm going to take 2 away. Now some of you may be confused because it says 2 more. Why are we doing take away 2 when it says 2 more? The reason is because we're trying to find out how many eggs are left in the basket. So what is left if I took 2 extras out? What's left in the basket is going to be 2 less because I'm taking 2 out. Okay? That's going to give me an answer. Again, 2 fewer than half the remaining eggs were taken out, so I'll divide it by 2. This time plus 2. Again, because I'm trying to find out how many eggs were left in the basket. If I do take away 2, it would tell me how many eggs were taken out. But that's not what I want to know. We're going to how many eggs were left in the basket. So instead I'm going to reverse it and say plus 2. So when I reverse my operations, it looks like this. And when you solve going backwards, this is what you get. 20 take away 2 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. 36 plus 2 is 38. And 38 times 2 is 76. So my answer would be there were 76 eggs to begin with. And that's it for today. So I'll get you to do this review. For number 1, there are 2 mistakes on this check. The mistake is not that 4 books is written too high, okay? Write down what the 2 mistakes are. And for number 2, you have a problem that requires you to work backwards. So get those done, bring them in tomorrow. Have a great night.